Hi everyone, this is Terry, and if you are new to embroidery or new to the Luminaire, I will be recording several videos covering different topics to try to help you understand how the machine works. Now, I also read through my user manual, and I also watch as many videos as I can when I'm trying to learn how to use something. I found that videos often help when reading doesn't really make the point. So to start out, the first thing you want to do is to select embroidery from the screen. And when you do that, you'll see a box in the center of your screen that shows you, I'll call it a design page, and it'll show you a smaller box inside of it. This is the font that I've selected for my machine to video this first embroidery for you, and we'll go into the settings page, and you can see that I've selected a 5x7, and I can change it if I want to a different size hoop, but it needs to be a hoop that I have first of all. So you have 4 hoops that came with your machine, and if you chose one of those hoops, say the 8x8 that didn't come with your machine, you need to own it. If I want to change a hoop size, all I do is select it, and you can see I selected that hoop, but I'll go back to the 5x7. I can also change the grid, and this is the background grid that might be something that's helpful for me to line up things. But as this is my first video, it's going to be very simple, and it's just going to be my name. I really don't need the grid because I want to show you something else that's built into the machine. So I'll go ahead and change it back to a plain grid and choose OK. There are other options here, but I'm not going to change anything from the default right now. I just want to do a quick embroidery and show you how to do it. So we'll choose OK. Now I can choose from several categories that include designs that are built into the machine. What we'll do is we'll just go ahead and choose an alphabet to begin with, and let's type our name. So I want to choose a font, and it can be any of the fonts. Let me go ahead and just select the second font, and when I do that, I see that I have a choice of uppercase, lowercase, numerals, special characters, and then also alphabetic letters with accents. And I happen to have an accent in my given name, so we'll just choose this. My given name is Therese, so we'll type a T, a lowercase e, R-E-S-E. Now, I made a mistake because the middle E is accented on my name. To change that, all I have to do is use this arrow to move to the left, but I need to be to the right hand side, so you can notice that there's like a little box around it, and then I can go ahead and delete that character by pressing delete, and now choose from the menu and select the correct letter, and I have that. So let me move to the end, and now what I want to do is press return because I want to enter my next or last name. So I'll just go ahead and choose M and lowercase a F-F-I-T-T. Now I want to change the spacing because I really don't care for this spacing, and let's see what happens when I try to do that. I can choose spacing, and what I can do is I can change the spacing, stretching it out from making more spaces between the characters, or push it closer together, but I cannot necessarily increase the spacing between the rows. So I really don't care for that. So what I want to do is choose OK, and let me go ahead and delete the second name, and we'll just go back with my first name, and I can add my second name if I want to as a separate design and line them up. I can choose from large to medium to small, and I think I'll choose medium for this. And let me just go ahead and choose set. Now, I told you that I want to add a second name, so let me go ahead and choose add. And let's go back to the alphabet. And I'll choose a different font for this, just to be different. And let's choose this font. And I'll type my last name. Okay, and I want to make that also a medium. And I'll choose set. And right now it's on top of the first name. I can just take my finger and drag it down. And I'm happy with that. So we'll leave it with that. And let's go in and change the thread color because I have red thread on my machine. So let me choose edit. Let me choose the thread color. And if I choose the first spool, that means that I can change an individual letter at a time. And I can select each letter and change it to a different color. And that may be something that I want to do. However, I think since I only have one thread on here and this is going to be a short video, I want to make it all one color. So let me choose all the spools, and let's go back because I told you I had red, and we'll make this red. And I changed the first name. Now to get to the second, I need to select the first color in the second name and go ahead while it has the 3 and change it to red as well. And they're both the same color, so I'm satisfied with that, and I choose OK. Now the next thing I want to show you is how to go into embroidery. And in embroidery, I want to see the crosshairs that are built into the machine and into the projector so I can see the center of my hoop. I've already marked it with an X on the fabric, and I'll show you that in a moment. So I select the W key, and when I do that, let's look under here, and the light I know is very, very bright, but when I do, there's a box that is, you can see when I put my hand down, you can see the box for the projector, and I can move the crosshair. And to do that, let's come back to the screen to look. And I apologize for the camera moving around. So what I want to do is to move it. So let's go into layout and let's choose move. And now what I want to do is I want to move that box so that I can get the crosshair in the right place. And to do that, I'm using the arrow keys. And when I do that, it's jogging my hoop. Let's go back here to look. And you can see that what I'm doing is I'm moving my hoop just gradually because I did not hoop my fabric completely correctly. So now I have the crosshairs in the right place. Let's come back and choose OK. Now what if I want to project this on my fabric? Let's do that as well. So I'm going to choose the projector, and when I do that, let's go back and look. And you to do is dim the lights, and let's go back and choose OK, and let's go back to the projector so you can see it. Now you can see that projector, and that it is shown. I can move this around on the screen to see where my embroidery design is going to be. Let me show you this. So when I move it here, it's moved up in my hoop. We'll go back. When I move it back to the center, you can see it back in the hoop. And let's just choose OK. I want to go back and show you this so you can actually see that crosshair. Now you can see the crosshair that is on the X where I originally drew the X on my fabric. So that's telling me that I'm going to be able to embroider right where I marked the spot. Now, let me pause this video and we'll come back. Okay, I'm ready to start embroidering the design. I have it centered on my fabric where I want it. I projected it to see what it looked like with the projector. I can turn that projector on and off, and I can go ahead and move it around if I want to, and I can change the background color of the projector if, for instance, I have dark fabric, or I might want to have a different background. So let me go ahead and choose OK, and now I'm to the point that I'm ready to stitch out this design. Let's look at the embroidery, and I'll go ahead and raise up the lights a little bit on my machine, and if you want to know what page that is, you will find that on page 4 of your settings. And I don't want to blow out the light on the camera here. Let's see, I believe that's probably good. Now let's go ahead and embroider this design. So to embroider, I have to have my foot down on the machine. There's an icon right here where my finger is, that's the foot. And the next thing I need to do, now that the foot is lowered, I need to go ahead and press start stop. It will go ahead and start stitching. Now I'll tell you before this video, what I did is I changed needles. I wasn't sure of the needle that came on the machine, so what I did is I changed it to some of my organ embroidery needles. And the reason I did that too is my first stitch out had loops in it, and I want to see if this improves that stitch out. So we'll let it stitch out and see what it looks like. When you finish recording your video, you'll get a message like this with a happy face that shows you that the video is finished, and I'll choose OK. And I want you to see what was embroidered. And now what I want to do is I want to build a little frame around something that I stitched out and show you how to add to this that's already on the screen, and also show you how to project that. So let's go back to the screen, and the first thing I want to do is if I want to save this, I need to choose memory, and I'll save this into the memory of my machine, and I'll choose return. When I choose return, it's still on the screen, so that means I can add another design to it. I'll go ahead and choose add, and sorry for jogging the camera. Okay, and now what I want to do is choose from the embroidery frames, and what I'd like to have is a rectangular frame around this. So I'll go ahead and choose category 5, and there are several for me to choose from. Let's just choose one that will sew out fairly quickly. So we'll choose number 9, and we'll choose set. Now that frame already will fit around this, but I want to make it a little bit larger. So I have two ways of doing it. I can just go ahead and make it larger on this screen, or I can make it larger and maintain the density of the design as well by going in to edit. And so if I choose size, the first thing you see is that it is grayed out. Well, I just told you I can maintain the density. There are some things that are built into the machine that are stitch files, and that means that because they're stitch files, they behave like embroidery design files, and if you resize them and you don't choose the correct setting, you're just resizing them and keeping the same stitch count. There are other things that are built in that are objects, and those objects can be enlarged by using the enlargement button here to make it proportionally larger, or I can make it proportionally smaller. And if you notice, I cannot change the density of this. Now if I want it to be in the center, I just press center, and that may be in the center, but visually to me it does not look good. So I want to lower it down, and I'm pleased with that spacing, so I'll choose OK. Now I'm ready to go into embroidery, and when I go into embroidery, I want to see what it's going to look like because I've already stitched out my first name. So let me turn the projector on, and when I turn the projector on, let's look at it. This is what it's going to look like. Now you may not be able to see this because the lighting on with the camera and that. Let me go into my settings and change the lighting on page 4. And what this will do is it'll reduce the lighting so that you can see that projector. And let me choose OK. And I'll go back into the projector, and you can see now. And if you cannot see it, I can change the color of the background, and I think that actually is visually easier for you to see. I'm looking through the lens of the camera. I can change it to a black background, to a gray background, and I can change it to a white background. We'll put it back to the gray so that you can actually see. Now we'll go back and look at the screen so you can see what I've been looking at, and you can see that what I've been doing is cycling through these icons here so I can change that background. Now honestly, I can see it with the white background myself, and I can move this projector around if I want, but actually I was seeing everything in that 3x5 projector as you were, and I have it currently on the gray. So let's choose OK, and now it's telling me that the color for this, if I go in to sew it, it wants to sew the entire design. I've already sewn out the terrays and Maffitt. So how do I get to the last bit of the stitches? I can choose this icon here, and I can move or advance in through the color sequences by using the down arrow, and I can go plus 100 to move ahead, plus 1,000 or minus 1,000, plus 1,000, plus 100, but I just want to move through till I get to the frame because I've already stitched out the first part in another video, and I'll choose OK. Now, even though it has black thread on here, I have red thread loaded on my machine. That's what I'm going to use. So I'm ready to go ahead and start sewing. All I need to do to start sewing is to put down the foot, and then I need to press the green button, and it starts stitching. So you can see by this, there are several different designs that you can use. This would be cute to use on a quilt label or something like that. You could have a little phrase on this with smaller characters saying this quilt was made with love for Baby Joan, for instance, whatever. Now, I'm a proponent of leaving the machine set at the highest setting unless you see that you're having problems with the stitch out. And if you're having problems, then certainly lower the speed. But as simple as this design is, the machine's not having a problem going through the stitch out. Okay, So it's finished stitching that out. Now if I want to save it, all I need to do, and I have the happy face, it says it's finished embroidery. I can choose OK, and what I can do is save that to memory, and I would have it.